Decepticon formation below.
It's that traitor, Skyfire!
You sure you two don't need my help?
We got it coming.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the Takara fourth party of Takara KO knockoff of their Skyfire. And I gotta say that pretty good figure. I'm gonna tell you the pluses and minuses, good and bad of this thing, but for about half the price, it's not bad. But I did get this. It shows you. I have a link down below where you can get yours. But let's get into taking a look at this KO, comparing it to the original. Coming up. Here is the box, the packaging. It is a brown box special TH01, whatever the TH is standing for. That's another of the many companies that just kind of dissolve, I guess. But this might be the one-hit wonder of a TH company. It still looks pretty cool that they got some line work on it, but it definitely does not match the original packaging. All right, so here he is out of the packaging and looking pretty good. I think that I kind of struggle with the lighting on making it look not too bright and washed out or too dark. I'm kind of in between here when it comes to these super bright white ones, but he looks really nice, really good, and feels very solid. Getting right in here on the face does look really good, and so does kind of the paint we have right here, and the paint's applied well. It's nice and sharp. It's not like fuzzy or missing. And I gotta say, I really feel like this is a deeper red back here. We'll get into the comparisons, but this red back here is painted really well in a kind of metallic paint, and it looks really good. But I think it's a deeper red than what we got with Takara, and I kind of really like that. And then kind of going down here to, let's take this down. We got more good paint apps going on right here. Nice translucent on the plastic there. And then going down a little bit further, just everything looks pretty good. I think I had to mess around with this landing gear to get it back in. Kind of pull the foot down a bit, opening the back piece here up, and then pulling the foot down and pushing the landing gear back in place. That was my only real issue right out of the box. But I think that's just kind of like an assembly issue and slight mistransformation. Or I could have just wiggled loose in the packaging on its way. But yeah, overall everything looks really good on this. Couple of like paint scratches here and there that is just very inconsequential, but yeah, he looks great. He's really big, and as a big figure, kind of hard to get it all on the screen at the same time without just looking really strange. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased so far with this guy. Still haven't transformed him just yet. And then let's see here. This is coming apart just a bit. But yeah, still looks really good. Of course, there's that gimmick. I believe it still has a gimmick. You can make it look a little more like a Jetfire. But still, yeah, it looks really good. I like the paint. I like the aesthetic. I like everything about it so far. And it really feels, the ratchets feel good. The posability feels pretty good. So let's get into, just go ahead straight into accessories. Then we'll do a little bit of articulation. Get all of this for accessories, and I'm highly impressed. We got the stand, we got the blast effects, we have this is a connector for the stand, and we have the face plate, we have two other face plates, and we have the minifigures, which I am very happy they included the minifigures. I was thinking they weren't going to. We'll get into looking at each one of these. Stand, I'm going to wait till the flight stand in the alt mode, although you could kind of technically use it in this mode. And then this was included separately, so we have a blank chest piece on him, and then we have this, the Autobot and the Decepticon that can slide on there. So I'm not sure why it wasn't inside of the box. It was just kind of like tossed in outside the box. Maybe it was a thing to stay out of trouble. I guess it works. He does come with these two blast effects. Now, I'm not going to compare it to the original, but these are always a little bit darker and less clear, less transparent than originals, and it feels like it's about the same. I'm just not going to get my blast effects out of the box from the other one. And then they can plug in the gun, which is a double barrel gun. Only one can really plug in unless you really play with it. And then they both plug into this in jet mode, which we will see in jet mode. So they get the job done there. One of them is kind of, there's lots of bubbles in it. So that's something that you don't really have with the Takara one so much. And we've got these faces included, which look fine. They look pretty much just like the Takara ones. And then we have the kind of Jetfire mask. So that looks pretty cool. And then I think I'll put a Decepticon one of these on him. So we're going to slide this up and then get this Decepticon one out, and we'll say the KO will be the Decepticon version. How does that sound? That sound good? There he goes with his Decepticon on him, and probably gotta give it a little bit more. There it is, in place. And there's his gun. We'll take a closer look at his gun when we get to a comparison side by side with the original. So let's get down here into these guys here. And I think that they look really good. They feel really tight. I'm really happy that they included them. And I was thinking they weren't going to for a while. So let's see here. Maybe we can zoom in. And yeah, that's what they look like. They feel good. There's just that little bit of articulation that they have. And the articulation's tight. I don't want to move them too much and do too much with them because I don't want them to lose that tightness. I believe the tightness that I'm feeling is because of the paint that's on them. And with that, I will real quick do a quick comparison side by side with two of them. This one looks almost exactly the same, slight differences in prime and wheeljack. I don't want to mix them up, but the color difference in the blue is much lighter blue on the right. The right is the KO. This is the KO. I'm going to try to keep the KO on the right every time for every bit of this video. But yeah, it looks a little bit lighter, which I don't care. I don't mind. It looks fine. And it almost looks a little taller and skinnier, but it's just the way the legs are just sitting. I don't know. It looks fine. It looks good. It looks fine. So I'm going to get them a little more height here, but this is the Magic Square Box set laying around. Okay, so on the right is the KO. On the left is the original. I do want to say the KO still feels tighter, much tighter joints. And, you know, I'm just noticing, and I don't know if I'm missing a little cannon piece that's supposed to be on mine for the KO. And there's the cannon for the original. So maybe it's floating around in the box somewhere, so I'll have to go check that out. But yeah, that's something. That's a missing piece. And then here we are on the side. It's kind of like a silvery look to it. So anyway, that's how they look. And I'm really glad they included these. Now I gotta go look for that little cannon piece. Alright, so here they are side by side. This is the original. This is the KO. The KO is wearing the Decepticon symbol. And I will kind of try to get the light to shine on them just right. Get the camera to kind of pick up the way I'm seeing it. And I'm going to tell you that they look really, really close. Like almost exactly the same. And I kind of position the gun like this so you can see that it's like a lighter gray. This is a darker gray. So the original is a little bit lighter than this one's darker. And I think down below, it might just be my optics slightly darker on the feet too. But looking at them overall, I do notice one more thing side by side that I didn't really notice until I just put them side by side under 200 watt light. That this feels a slight shade yellowed. Like not a super bright white. This is like perfect brand new white from Takara. And the KO is a slight shade. I mean, we're talking fractionally little bit on the yellower side than the Takara. If you took Takara away, you wouldn't even notice. And so with that though, very, very close. Looks very, very good. And with that also, I do think that this is bare plastic. I still feel like this is bare plastic. And that this is painted. And it is painted with a bit deeper red. So that's kind of something cool too. So there are some slight improvements to this. And I did weigh them. I'm not going to show it. But he's 0.2 ounces? No, 2 ounces heavier. So those are the major differences in them. And just kind of looking at them, I'm kind of also looking through the camera to see if the camera picks up something the eye doesn't. But let's see them from the back. And from the back is how they look. I do want to point out, it seems like there's a slight bit of a gap where that comes together. But once I transform it and transform it back, I'll probably figure out that that's just a slight alignment issue or something. But haven't transformed it yet. I'm just doing out the box comparison. Then I'll transform it to look at the alt mode. But they look very, very similar, almost exactly the same. And I just feel like this is a really good job. They've done a pretty good job with it. There's a couple of paint chips. I think they painted a little bit more stuff on this than Takara did. So with that, you have a couple more scratches here and there. And that's something you have to look at. But yeah, that's how it looks. Let's get the lower legs there. Looks great, actually. Before we get into looking at the alt mode, and I am not going to do the transformation. I'll put that in another video. But we've got head side to side, up this much, down, all that good stuff, all that jazz. And of course, in the head, you can see like a little electrical bolt kind of thing. You do still have the butterfly, which it feels a little gummy. Like It just doesn't feel as tight as the original with the butterfly, but I'm okay. Still has the butterfly in there. And then you have shoulder out to here. You have the 360 if you wanted it. If you want to get that out of the way. A little bit lighter ratchets in the hips. We'll get to that here in just a bit. You can still do the double jointed elbow right there. And then we got the bicep swivel. And you got the individual fingers, which are great. And yeah, it is kind of starting to show that little bit weaker on the hip for posing. Yeah, all those hands. Looks good. And he is a little bit bigger than the average masterpiece you're looking at. Okay, so no real waist swivel. And you can use this as sort of with the ab crunch. But yeah, no real ab crunch either. You can go out to here, very light. So it's not really supporting it. And then it does have a drop down. Does it have a drop down? No, it doesn't have a drop down. Okay. Thought it had a drop down. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. That's really tight front and back, which is good. And then you have the thigh swivel. I don't know why I thought it had a drop down hip. All right, and he goes to right about there. And it feels, I'm feeling like there's some more die cast in these legs, maybe, than in regular ones. Anyway, then we get down here to the foot, which you got the ankle tilt, and it's ratcheted, and a little bit down and a little bit up, but not a whole lot. All right, so here it is in the alt mode, and I'm going to say that I actually had a couple of issues with it, and I'll get into that here in a second, but number one, it does suffer from the same exact issues that the first Takara one had, because there is still quite a bit of gappiness going on in there, and it's just a design thing. I mean, they copied that design, so they didn't really do any fixes. I don't know if I'd want them to. There already were a couple of issues with the transformation due to the paint, and so with that, I do still think it has a striking color to it. It looks like a nice color. I like that really vibrant red from the paint. I do like, wonder if I chipped some of the paint in the transformation though. But overall, it's still, I mean, it matches Takara's. It looks fine. The stand works really well and pretty solid. But since we've already seen that, I am going to link my other video that I reviewed the original Takara. So you want to see this thing compared to the fans' toys in the bot mode, and if you want to see some other comparisons and stuff, I'm trying to move through this real quick because it's more. This video is more about this guy and not so much the Takara mold. So I did pop this out. You can put the gun in there. I'm going to show you where I have the gun right now. These wings, they don't actually match up, and I bet you if you shaved some stuff off of this little latch piece here, it probably would line up a little bit better, but you see that it doesn't quite line up 100%. So that is probably something. I don't think that's the paint issue, but it could be a paint issue. It could be causing a little bit from the paint, but it's just not lining in there just right. So, but it still looks fine. I mean, overall it looks fine. It's just something I'm noticing. The other thing is, because the backpack's painted, when you slide this out, slide this down, it's not really sliding down very well. It took quite a bit of just finagling with it to get it to slide down because the paint, I don't know if it was not let to set or if it's the tolerance issue or what. So it took quite a bit of time, and then I did mess with these screws in here. So yeah, not the most fun part of it, the most fun aspect, but still overall still does have all of the features and fun stuff, like down here underneath this. We disconnect it from the stand, and I have the stand on the lowest level so that we can see the whole thing a little. Here's the setup, and you can put the gun in there and this stand piece, and you can take this out and still have the gun in there if you want. And then of course there's landing gear. I don't have landing gear out, but quite simple, same as Takara. As if you watch the other video, all this stuff's the same. The landing gear come out here. I do advise though, for the rear landing gear back here, that you open up this tab here and you come around, and you want to do that while you're transforming or before you're transforming. I would push for the back. So that's why I'm not going to do it right now. I don't want to untransform it, because getting all this lined up just right and with all that was a bit of a pain. So I don't really want to do that so much right now. But you open up the panel in the back and push from the back. I think it's the easiest way to get it out, in my opinion. Okay, so one of the things I don't want to do in a fourth party review or KO review is just rehash the original review over and over. So I will just quickly touch on these options for this. Now you can slide this, fold this piece here out, clip the gun into the side. That's something you can do. The handle folds up. You have the cockpit where you can fit a figure. You have this section where you can fit a figure. You can make this, let's look at it a little bit better. You can make that to where you can have more of a Jetfire look to it and have those two pieces of the backpack. You can also do that in the bot mode, and then there is Jazz hanging off the back. And so with that, yeah, these are still the options. They all work. Everything's still here. And there's also the little compartment that opens down here. That's still available. So all this stuff, I want to say, I feel like this stand, it all holds together better with the gun in there. I think that gun gives it a little bit more support and tension that it needs. So I wouldn't really display the gun like that. And yeah, it does look a little bit like a crazy mess with all this stuff, just all these options at once. But that's what it looks like if you have all these options opened up and just going crazy and wild on it all at the same time. Here it is without the flight stand, kind of showing the rear thruster pieces going on. And I don't really like this whole part of the design anyway, but yeah, I like the blast effects. And I think that blast effects do add quite a bit to your display. And I'm glad they still included it. I'm glad that the fourth party included all of, I think, pretty much everything that car included, which makes it a much better value. I mean, it was already a great value with just the figure, but there it goes. All right, so there's my look at the fourth party KO Skyfire. I think he looks really good. I think they've done a good job with him, and for half the price, with a little bit extra paint on, say, the backpack, which is prone to scratching, and it's a good value. It feels the same as the original one, just slightly yellowed versus the original one, the whiteness of it. Also, some of the ratchets are stronger and some are weaker than the original one. But overall, he's going to stand and hold your pose. He's going to look good, and everything feels pretty good about him. So anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I will have a link in the description where you can order yours from Show Z, because I did get this at Show Z. You can get yours there too. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe to Deer Hanger out.
My sensors are in sync. Megatron's heading for a mining town just up the road.
Good luck at the Inca Temple.
Thanks. I'll take